everybody, my name is Mars. You can call me May or MG if you would like, and today I have my TBR for February. But before we get into that, I have to talk about all the books that I read in January, and I think I've read 15 books so far. It is the 25th when I'm filming this, and I do plan on reading more. We'll get to that. Yeah, I've read a bunch, so let's talk about those before we get into next month's TBR. So, the first book that I read in January and in 2023 in general was The Ruins of Gorlan by John Flanagan. This is the first book in the Ranger's Apprentice series, and I'm so glad that I picked this as my first book. This is one of my favorite series of all time. It's very near and dear to my heart, and it was just a really great first read. This also fulfilled a prompt for my January TBR, and that was The Cleric, so getting that right out of the way. After that, I actually picked up two more John Flanagan books, and those were The Tournament at Gorlan and The Battle of Hackham Heath. These are the two books that make up the Ranger's Apprentice early years duology, so like a prequel. And I decided to read these because I had read the first one before, but I had not read the second one, and they deal with basically the same kind of stuff that the first two books in the Ranger's Apprentice series deals with. And I could have waited until after book 2 to read them, because book 2 is very much involved with book 1, and therefore the same kind of stuff as these two. But I read them after the first book, and I'm fine with that. Very emotional. I gave both of these 9 out of 10, and I'm just glad to have finally read this book. It feels weird owning a John Flanagan book and having not read it when I love his books so much. The books that I don't own and haven't read, that's a different story. I have to buy those, but for now, I'm kind of caught up. After that, I read volumes 6, 7, and 8 of Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead by Haro Aso. Might be how it's pronounced, I'm not totally sure, but I gave these an 8 out of 10, a 9 out of 10, and a 7 out of 10 respectively. This is such a good series, it's so fun, and I'm glad to have continued on with it. The next book that I picked up was Beowulf, which fulfilled the prompt for the Two of Undead card, and this was a very fun read. I had such a great time. Like, it's hard to get through, don't get me wrong. Like, the language it's written in is so dense, but like the story itself, actually pretty fun, and I had a great time reading this, and it was very short. It did take me a couple days to get through because it's very dense, but like, it didn't take me as long as I thought it would. We'll put it that way. Then my pick for The Bard, which was my last card that I pulled for January. There were only 3. I was reading Heartless by Marissa Meyer. I was reading it digitally, and I actually DNF'd this at 26%. So about a quarter of the way through, it just got so repetitive and wasn't keeping my attention. Like, I think I got like 14 chapters in, and I felt no different than I did when I was at chapter 4, so DNF'd. And after that, I picked up books 1 through 8 of A Series of Unfortunate Events. So let's just go through these rapidly. We have book 1, The Bad Beginning. Book 2, The Reptile Room. Book 3 is The Wide Window. Book 4 is The Miserable Mill. Book 5 is The Austere Academy, I think is how it's pronounced. Book 6 is The Ersatz Elevator, another word that I'm not too sure if that's how it's pronounced. Book 7 is The Vile Village, and book 8 is The Hostile Hospital. I am still reading the series. My goal is to finish it out by the end of the year. I just started book 9 this morning. I'm reading 9, 10, 11, and 12 digitally because I don't own those ones yet, but then the last book, book 13, I do own physically, so I will be reading that physically. But I'm vlogging my experience, so definitely check out that video whenever that goes up. Sometime after this one does, but I'm loving my reread of the series and having a fantastic time. So now we've come to the part of the video where I pick out all of the books that I will be reading in February. Now, I am woefully unprepared for this. I have not looked at any book clubs or reading challenges that I'm doing to see what books and prompts are for this month. I do know that Mistborn is the Nostalgia Train book club pick, but I will not be reading that because I did just read it in November. Check out that vlog if you're interested. I binged the whole trilogy. It was a time. But yes, I am just gonna pick books and hope for the best. So I've got my D4 here that I use to pick out the number of books. So we are going to roll it and see how many books I'm gonna have to read in February. Alrighty, once again, I'm gonna be rolling it in my little tarot box. So that's a 1, so I have to, if I can pick it up, re-roll and add 1 because that was the first roll. So here's roll 2. Is also a 1, so I have to re-roll and add the 1. This is the last roll no matter what I get. So it's another 1. So we're doing 3 pulls again, just like January, but it took 3 times as many rollings to get it. So here I have my deck. Ooh, I don't want to see what's on the bottom. We are going to give it a bit of a shuffle just to mix it up. I have already shuffled it, but we're just splitting the deck a little bit. And we're going to see what 3 cards I pull. So first up we have, I think this is the one that was just on the bottom. That's really interesting. This is the IV is 4. Roman numerals trip me up. This is the 4 of monstrosities. Monstrosities might be the size thing where like I pick a book based on the number of pages, and the 4 would mean the biggest one. I'm not positive on that. It might be giant, but it might be monstrosities. So we're gonna have to check. But the first card pull is the 4 of monstrosities. Next up we have, ooh, the 2 of humanoids. This is such a gorgeous card. They're all gorgeous, but I really like the design on the humanoids. So 2 of humanoids. Don't remember what that one is. I'm gonna look it up and tell you. But the third and last card pull for February is the 3 of elementals. So we got all non-class cards, I guess. So I'm going to pull up my chart and tell you what prompts these 3 cards are. Okay, so I'm actually really excited about these prompts. So the 4 of monstrosities, I was wrong. The giant is in fact the like page number prompt. Monstrosities are all different subgenres of horror, and so the 4 of monstrosities is cosmic horror, also known as eldritch horror, H.P. Lovecraft kind of vibe, and I have a couple of things in mind. I'm not sure which one I want to go with, but I'm very excited. I love cosmic horror, so it's a great first card to pick. Then the 2 of humanoids. Humanoids is age category, I guess. So the 2 of humanoids is a young adult pick. And then the 3 of elementals is water on the cover or in the title. So I'm gonna go pick those books and let my cat in because she's scratching at the door and get back to you with what I'll be reading in February. Okay, so this is probably the easiest time I've ever had filling prompts, like finding books that I actually wanted to read to fit the prompts that I've been given for a month. So I'm very happy about that. But also, the first prompt, I have 2 books picked out because I can't decide between them. So I have for Cosmic Horror, The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin and Hell Followed With Us by, who's this by? Andrew Joseph White. First off, fantastic covers. I'm obsessed with both of these, and I can't decide which one I want to read more. I'm pretty sure they're both queer. This one's definitely queer. It is a trans main character. There's a cult, and he's running away from them. The apocalypse is happening. All things that sound amazing and right up my alley. And the city we became, I don't know a ton about, but it's like a sentient city, which is also something that I think is so cool. So this one for sure has been called Cosmic Horror. I think on the back. No, it's not on the back. One of the blurbs that I found online literally say one of the best cosmic horror novels of the century. This one, I know it's horror. I don't know if it's technically cosmic horror, but it has to do with the apocalypse, so I think it counts. So I'm gonna let you guys decide which one I'm going to read in February. I'm still gonna try to get to both if I can, but let me know which one you would rather me read. Then for the 2 of humanoids, I just had to pick a YA book, any YA book ever, and I have gone with The Burning Bridge by John Flanagan, and I am so excited to read this. This is my favorite book in the series, I think. It has been a hot minute since I've read them, so that might change on this reread, but I'm pretty sure this is my favorite in the series. This is book 2 in Ranger's Apprentice, and it is the next book to read in the kind of read along that me and my friend Anne are doing. I assume we're still doing it. I haven't actually seen her like post about reading book 1 or have talked to her about book 1, but the plan is to keep reading them. So this is book 2, second month of the year. I was gonna read it anyway, so I'm excited that I could get it on to my official TBR. And finally, for water in the title or on the cover, I've done both and gone with The Water in the Wild by K.E. Ormsby. Water's in the title, and then I'm pretty sure they're like underwater here, but there's a tree, so maybe not. There's also birds. I don't think they're actually underwater now that I'm looking at it closer, but it's still in the title, so it fits. This is a middle grade book. It is the first in a 4-part series. It's like adventure fantasy. I cannot wait to read this. It sounds just so fun and like not at all serious, like a lot of the adult fantasy that I've been reading. So I'm excited to get into this one as well. So to wrap up, I'm just going to hold up all 4 of these books, even though they are kind of heavy because they're all dense hardcovers. But let me know if you would rather me read The City We Became or Hell Followed With Us. I'm probably going to read both if I can, but just let me know down in the comments. And also let me know what books you're reading for February, because I would love to know, especially if you're reading them for like any readathons or like the buzzword challenge, because I haven't thought about that. I don't know what the buzzwordathon prompt for the month is. My prompt for the Somber Honey readathon is a character's name in the title, which I have not done. So there's gonna be another book for that. I'll figure that out as the month goes along, like all the readathons and reading challenges I'm doing. For now, this has been my video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like more content, and that way I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.